Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind YouTube or Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, TPFL. It is Friday, December 13th, 2024. As the show was like, the music was playing and like we were getting like, the beat was hitting. We have our mics muted all the time, but I was blowing my nose and my ears popped and I'm thrown off right now because my ears are weird, but joined as always on Friday by my good buddy Will Priester, ChiefJustice06. Chief, what's happening, my friend?
Doing great, brother. Having a good time. Been coaching a lot lately. I know you've been doing some coaching also, and just living the dream, man. So hopefully, all this coaching helps pay off for the team. We're trying to get them somewhere, and once again, like I said, I'm having a good time, man. It's definitely something I love doing, and just hoping we can get these girls where we think they can go. And we got a big tournament coming up next weekend on our home floor. It's our tournament. Be 3 days, and boy, it'd be nice to win that one. That's definitely an early goal for the season to win this tournament. So working real hard to try to get them ready for that.
Yeah, man, we have our first volleyball tournament this weekend. My team's been working super hard, and I was just telling Will before the podcast that we had our best practice so far this season tonight. So I'm hoping that translates into some positive confidence. Because at the end of the day, when you're playing sports, and you and I played sports, we know we coach sports, confidence goes a long way. It goes a long way. So hope everyone's having a fantastic Thursday night. We got 6 NBA games. Any surprises for you in the NBA Cup? We're down to 4 now.
Well, I actually think, now look, Golden State was on a skid. So, I'm not really surprised they lost yesterday. I was really surprised the Hawks beat the Knicks. I was probably more surprised at that. I actually expected the Knicks to win this thing. So Hawks beating the Knicks, I think, was a big one. So Stevie, last year, this year's semifinal, the Bucks going back again.
Yep.
This time against Atlanta, who's similar to Indiana last year. So can they get out and get into the finals, the Cup finals? And then Rockets Thunder is probably about as good as you can get in the West right now in terms of teams and young teams. Like, both of those teams have been playing great. Both of these teams are, like I said, young and have pretty good coaches. And so I think the West has shaped out really about as good as it could have. The East, I'm definitely a little surprised that the Hawks went all the way. Well, not all the way, but to the semifinal.
2 of the best teams in the West facing off against each other.
Yeah. And Boston and Cleveland City home, which I know
the Thunder and the Rockets. You think Curry's got fouled? Did you see the play on the 3? He got fouled. Just saying.
Oh yeah. Sure,
Lakers did win the Cup last year, so we'll have a new winner this year. Lakers won last year, so I mean, listen, Jalen Johnson balled out. Let's just call it how it is. Jalen Johnson played incredible against the Knicks. He had a stellar game, and it's not too shocking for me. The Magic put up more of a fight than I thought they were going to against the Bucks. So it was a much better game than I had thought. I recorded and watched it, and then the Hawks against the Knicks. I thought the Knicks were going to win that game, but honestly, it doesn't surprise me too much when you look at the talent on the Atlanta side. But I think the Thunder and Houston game is going to be incredible. The Thunder Rockets game, that game is going to be great. So all that's going down on was it Saturday, right? So NBA Cup action on Saturday. I think that Rockets Thunder game going to be a heck of a game to watch. So. All right, let's get into some basketball here for this Friday slate. We get started. Washington at Cleveland in this one. This game currently at a 230.5 total, and Cleveland is a 17-point favorite in this one. For the Washington side, Bay, Brogdon, George, Kispert, Kuzma remain out. And on the Cleveland side, Mobley is questionable. Craig Porter Jr. is getting close to being back. He's on assignment right now in the G League. And then Max Strus is out. Let's go to the Washington side first. Terrible matchup going into Cleveland, 17-point underdog. You like anything here for the Wizards?
They're fairly cheap, Stevie. It's just not a great matchup. Marvin Bagley could be a sneaky tournament play. Like, he's 4K and, he's played 24 minutes within the last 2 games, and some of those have been blowouts. So I have to assume if we're getting close to a blowout here, Stevie, he actually might be a really – once again, this is deep tournament. I'm saying if you're mass multi-entry, 20-entry max or something, maybe you get him in the 1 or 2. If you run him in 150, maybe you get him at 5 or 6. But definitely think it's something to consider, considering Cleveland could actually blow this team out. I just all these guys out for Washington it just leaves these guys so cheap to where if they do keep up, Stevie, you got to think multiple guys crush value. That's the problem. It's just that I think Washington should suffocate this team. So I do think I'll get to some of these cheap pieces in limited fashion and not overdo it, because I do think Cleveland wins. Being a 17-point favorite, they're that for a reason. And so I'm not loading up, but I will get to some of these cheap pieces.
Yeah, I mean, the value is definitely interesting. But you're not excited because it's a matchup against Cleveland. You got to try to figure out like who potentially stays on the court in a game that doesn't stay close. I think is kind of how you're approaching Washington in this point. If the game stays remotely close, Poole's probably having a big game. I'm not paying 7,300 for him against Cleveland. I think it's like Colby, Carrington, or Sarr would be the guys that I would take like some tournament shots on, and like especially with like George out too.
Yeah.
If you wanted to take like a large field tournament shot on like Johnny Davis at 3,300, he might play 20 to 25 minutes in this game and probably doesn't come off the floor if it's a blowout. So your large field, take a huge tournament risk play from Washington, I feel like, is Johnny Davis, but we obviously don't feel fantastic about that. Going to the Cleveland side here, we're watching the Mobley news. If he were to sit, Allen 6,800, great matchup against Washington. If the game, even in a blowout, Allen probably close to getting there. If the game stays remotely close, he could have a huge game. Kind of like the value here, like Jerome at 3,900, maybe LeVert at 4,700. I'm kind of looking at the cheap pieces. Like, I wouldn't necessarily talk you off of Mitchell or Garland, but I don't think I want to do it.
Yeah, man, it kind of paid off to stay away from them in these type of spots. Like you said, LeVert at 4,700 is cheap enough to almost he could get there and not burn you. Like if he gets 25 fantasy points, doesn't hurt you. Probably doesn't help you win a tournament, but maybe if everybody else does their job, you min cash, Stevie. I know we're not in this to min cash, but you get what I'm saying. It just kind of doesn't help you, doesn't hurt you. I'm with you on Allen at 6,800. Like, he could definitely be the guy that kind of breaks through here. Forgive me, everybody. Me and Stevie have some long days coaching right now. It's just, man, so many options on this team, and I just don't like the spot. I just don't like it.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at. That's why I like Jerome. Jerome probably stays on the floor. He's really cheap. We know he has plenty of usage when he's out there. He'll get his shots up. So it's kind of why I like Ty Jerome, which sounds crazy. Yeah. Indiana at Philadelphia, 227 total in this game. The 76ers a 6-point favorite. On the Pacers side, Nesmith, Shepard, Wiseman, Jackson out. Philadelphia side, Caleb Martin out. That's really it. Basically a healthy Philadelphia team right now. What do we like here for the Pacers?
I'm kind of not thrilled with the Pacers, Stevie. Like, I feel like everybody's kind of priced where this should be. Halliburton's a guy that I've been playing when he's been, 8,100, 8K, and he'll probably be fine. But I just think everybody's priced where this should be. Benedict Mathurin is 7,300 now. Like, so he's, where he should be. Nembhard is 4,300, but he's not really a high impact guy. Siakam up to 8,100 now. I think everyone's right where they should be or slightly above value. I don't think I'm going to get anyone.
Yeah. I think that's this game in general. We'll talk about it on the other side, but yeah, nothing like jumping off the page for me here. Walker at 3,800 could play 20 minutes. I think we're going to have better value plays by the time this slate kind of comes to lock. So Obi Toppin, 46, could play 20 plus minutes. Again, like he has shown a little bit of upside when he gets the run. His usage is fantastic. So maybe Obi Toppin, of all people, take some shots on him. But Mathurin, Siakam, Halliburton, I feel like they're all right where they should be price-wise. Nothing like jumping off the page for me value-wise. Obviously, check lineup HQ tomorrow throughout the day to see if there's anything that opens up for Indiana value-wise. But right now, not loving it. Philadelphia side of this game, I mean, everybody's playing. When Embiid, Maxey, George are out there, their usage is all spread out enough where, I mean, they're all kind of expensive. I mean, this is a really good matchup for Paul George. Wings have done really well against Pacers this year. But, I mean, how do we pay $8K for Paul George with Maxey and Embiid playing? How do you pay $6,200 for McCain with Maxey playing? It's just, I'm not seeing anything that jumps out here. Am I missing something?
Only person I would play would be Embiid, just because he could become a black hole at any time, and they just work it through him. But other than that, I'm not thrilled about this game either. And for a 6-game slate, Stevie, I mean, man, not a lot early.
Yeah, don't worry.
Oh, yeah.
Charlotte at Chicago.
Well, here we go.
Oh, man. This game is a 231.5 total. The Bulls a 5.5 point favorite. Looking at the injury report here, LaMelo out, Man out, Grant Williams out, and then Bridges and Saloon both questionable on the Chicago side. Josh Giddey is questionable. Vucevic is questionable, and Patrick Williams is questionable. Vuce is an illness, so obviously we'll see if he participates in shoot around in the morning. Going to the Charlotte side, no ball, 9K for Miller, but Chicago. I mean, is it worth the price of admission to take some shots on him? I don't know. I mean, that was my initial thought, is I don't know. Micic at 51 is, I think, one of the best value plays on the slate. I think he's just a guy that you're probably taking a lot of shots on here today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's against Chicago. I mean, we've seen him we've seen him have, for his price, nice games, 4 out of the last 5, 36, 34, 29, and 37 respectively. And like you said, gets a tasty matchup with the Bulls. So definitely one of the best plays on the slate early. And so sorry, guys. Just please bear with me. I'm so sorry. And it's probably going to pick up some steam here, because the slate really isn't a large slate. It's just 6 games on DraftKings. So I'm expecting Mitchell to pick up some nice ownership today, but I think it's a good chalk, Stevie. Additionally, my boy Nick Richards, man, he's back, Steven. He's playing well. If he can get close to 30 minutes in this game, I'd absolutely be interested. Yeah,
I mean, Mark Williams, potentially, I mean, he's questionable, but he's not. We don't expect him to play a bunch of minutes. So kind of want to see how that all plays out. If Saloon sits here, I mean, I think you could take some shots on Cody Martin at 5,300. It's Chicago. The pace-up spot, the bad defense. Charlotte's a great team to target on this slate. I like the value plays more than I like Miller, but Miller can break the slate. So, I mean, I don't have an issue taking some tournament shots on him. The other guy that I want to mention here is that Bridges plays at 6K. Very playable. Very, very playable. So don't sleep on Bridges if he plays here. Chicago side, I mean, Vucevic is the big news here. We're watching this because if he's out, it's a huge upgrade to Jalen Smith. I would assume that Jalen Smith would get the 25-plus minute role for center at 3,500. So we'd be loading up on Jalen Smith day. So that'd be fun. I think it's a really good spot for Kobe White. I think it's a even better spot if Giddey ends up sitting here. You could take some shots on AU if Giddey's out. But, I mean, I have a lot more interest in the Charlotte side than I do the Chicago side.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I do want to see where these injuries end up because now, if you start talking about Giddey and Vooch out, then now this has become a gold mine game. Like, you can play a lot of guys, but, I mean, Patrick Williams questionable. Like, Steven, this is really important news. If they have 3 of their main guys sit, this becomes probably one of the best game stacks of the night, period. I mean, hands down. Like, you'd probably want 3 to 5 pieces from this game, depending on how it shakes out. With the injuries on both sides, because if Bridges is back, you may want to play him. Then you start saying maybe you want to play Kobe White and Levine, and Jalen Smith and Mitch. It's like you're going to start getting 3 to 5 pieces from this game easily.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right, moving on. We got Brooklyn at Memphis, 228.5 total here. Memphis, a 10.5 point favorite. On the Brooklyn side, Bogdanovich out, Cam Thomas out, Ziaire Williams out. On the Memphis side, Edey doubtful, Gigi Jackson and Vince Williams remains out. Let's go to the Brooklyn side here first. Wings have done somewhat decent against Memphis this year. Cam Johnson, 7K. He can have those usage games. He's kind of the only guy that I wouldn't even necessarily say love, but the only guy that I like here, I mean, is Ben Simmons getting traded soon? It really seems like they've really cut back on Ben Simmons' minutes. I think they want to keep him healthy. I've heard a lot of stuff about him potentially ending up in Boston, which is kind of wild. What are your thoughts here on Brooklyn?
Gosh.
Yeah.
Well, my thoughts are Ben Simmons goes to Boston. And
not good.
I mean, look, he'd only have to play 20 minutes a game. It's not like he's going to have to play 30 minutes.
Yeah, it'd be a good fit for him.
Oh.
What would they have to give up, though? That's what I was trying to figure that out. Ever since I was reading about it, I was like, who Boston would have to give up for Ben Simmons?
They'd give up Queta, I think. I think Queta's gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've basically got a stretch 4 and a stretch 5 on the floor now if they bring him over because it's him and Porzingis. Like, it kind of like this interesting.
Oh, so it says here it might be a buyout situation, so it wouldn't even have to send anything.
That's free money for Boston. Jeez. All right. Well,
why would Ben Simmons agree to a buyout? He's isn't his contract like 160 or 170 million or something?
To get a championship.
I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Speaking of centers, Nick Claxton had a really big game. I'm not expecting a repeat, Stevie, but 5,900 minutes could be trending up. I'm okay with it against Memphis. Man, I'm kind of afraid to pay $7K for Cam Johnson. Obviously, it's Memphis. We know there's going to be some fantasy points scored, but I'm not thrilled. I think I'd feel better about Schroeder, but, they're probably the same play, which means I just need to play Johnson. And I think I've talked myself into it. I mean, against all these injuries, I probably do need to play Johnson and Claxton. This should be an up and down game. So I think these pieces from Brooklyn, are viable.
Going to the Memphis side, I mean, listen, centers have absolutely smashed Brooklyn this year. I could see Triple J having a huge game. But with that said, like, he hasn't really done much in the 2 meetings against this team earlier this year. So kind of on the fence on him, but I do think like the matchup is really good. So, I mean, he's the first guy that I think I would take some shots on here. I think Desmond Bane is priced appropriately with Ja expected to play. Ja has some upside at 8,700 on any given slate. But overall, I mean, I have some interest in Triple J, but I know we keep saying this, but like I don't know. This isn't my favorite 6-game slate ever. I'll just say that. Like I'm going to rely on projections a little bit more than I usually do on this slate because I haven't found anything that I'm like I love this on this slate.
Yeah, I think the only thing I found that I love is the Charlotte game if we get the injury news, and I think that's what everybody's going to love. So we'll have to find ways to differentiate. I do think John's the way to differentiate, Stevie, just because at 8,700, I mean, we saw him play 34 minutes against Boston, 61 fantasy points. I think if they're going to extend them, a little here and there in competitive games, it could be good. At 8,700, if John gets 50 fantasy points tomorrow, I'd take that. So I do think that the upside is there for him, in a vacuum. Okay with Jackson, I'm just kind of okay with Memphis right now. I do think Desmond Bane's price is very reasonable, Steve, because I think he's got 40-point upside. So maybe a sprinkle of him as well. I think he's a little bit too cheap for the upside he possesses.
All right, we got LA heading to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. 213.5 total here. Timberwolves a 8-point favorite at home. Injury news here: Anthony Davis probable, LeBron out, Jackson Hayes out, Reeves questionable, and Wood and Vanderbilt remain out. On the Minnesota side, I mean Joe Jingles is out. Lakers side first. Sign me up. Like I know I didn't say there's not much that I love. I know it's a really tough matchup. Don't care. LeBron's out. Play Anthony Davis. Play some Hachimura. Play Connect. Yeah. If Reeves is out, it just boosts those guys even more. I mean, again, not that I love the matchup, but I mean Anthony Davis I think is one of the top spend ups on the slate.
Yeah, and Anthony Davis is borderline matchup proof, Stevie. Like. You can almost take.
There's not. There's maybe 5 guys in the NBA that can guard Anthony Davis to slow him down, but not stop him. I don't think there's one guy in the NBA that stops him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the thing is, if Reeves is out, like D'Angelo Russell, Stevie, again, will be even though he's 6,100, he'll be well worth that price. Playing mid-30s minutes. And no LeBron means balling is in his hands a lot more. So I like him a ton. I wish Gabe Vincent was productive, but Stevie, I think at 3,900 coming off the bench, probably going to play 25 to 28 minutes, he's viable on this slate. Like, we need some relief. 3,900 is a great way, and we could get him at point guard or shooting guard, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, we saw big games from Anthony Davis, Russell, Hachimura against Portland on the 8th with LeBron out. You want to take a wild guess on D'Angelo Russell's usage in that game with no LeBron?
I'm going to guess 30 to 32%.
29.8% in that game with no LeBron, and Anthony Davis 37.5%. Can't say it enough. I mean, we'll leave everybody else on the court. Let's just take LeBron off the court this season. LeBron off the court per minute production. Take a wild guess on Anthony Davis point per minute production with LeBron off the floor this year.
1.71.
You're close. 1.64. Fantastic number. You do that with 35 minutes on average, and even in a tough matchup, it's a great spot for AD. For me, he's one of the top plays on the slate. If Reeves plays, I have some interest in Reeves. I think I'd play Reeves over Russell if Reeves plays. Reeves is out. Russell at 6,100 is too cheap, which sounds crazy, but it's too cheap. For a guy that we were talking about 2 weeks ago for 4,400.
4,400. I'll never forget that, Steve.
Yeah.
We couldn't believe it. Like,
yeah.
We thought it was a huge misprice. Unbelievable.
We were on it. Yeah, we were on it. We liked it. All right, Minnesota side of this game. I mean, I do think with LeBron out, like it becomes an easier road for Ant. I could see Ant having a bigger game here. Maybe Randall having a bigger game. If I'm going to play a lot of AD, like if he's going to be my main lineup, I'm probably going to look to a Minnesota player and I think it's probably Edwards or Randall to get different. I'll look to see like ownership, but I don't expect Anthony Edwards to be extremely popular today.
Yeah, no, not at all. And Stevie, you know my guy. I always bring him up in these situations, but Naj Reid, 4,600, probably going to see 25 minutes. Never know when he's going to go off for 30. So want to throw him in the pot as well. But I definitely agree with you, man. And Randall for sure. The top options here.
I do. Before we get into this last game, I want to give you a shout out. You nailed Bobby Portis on Tuesday. He had an incredible game. So hopefully people listened.
Yeah.
All right, we got Clippers and Nuggets to finish us out here. 226.5 total here. Nuggets a 6.5 point favorite. Clippers side, Derek Jones Jr. out, Kawhi out, Terrence Mann out. Denver side, I mean, Jamal Murray's questionable. Sarge is out, so that's really it. Let's go to the Clippers side here first. What do we like here for the Clippers?
Man, so I'm still okay with Harden. Like, I know he's had like a rough game or two, but Stevie, he's still doing a lot for this team. Kevin Porter Jr., how about the minutes, Stevie? Even if he plays 25, I'm down at 4,200. I think that's a really good price for him. Zubac is still playing big minutes, but I think I am going to stay away in this particular spot. And then we're back down to these cheap Clippers with Coffee and what's his name? God, Dunn. All these guys like just still cheap, Stevie, and playing mid-20s minutes. I just think they're okay. It could provide some salary relief if you need it, but it's Harden for sure for me if I had to choose one guy. And then if I'm going backwards, obviously not going to forget about Norman Powell. He's got to score. He's got to put the ball in the hole. But he's still got some upside because he's taking so many shots right now.
Yeah, and don't look too much into the Kevin Porter Jr. game. Last time out, James Harden was out, so that was the big Kevin Porter Jr. game.
Yeah, and I would say he's only playing 25 minutes. That's why I mentioned that.
No, I just wanted to say, like, don't expect 40 minutes, from him. Harden's good to go. I like Zubac. I could see Zubac having a solid game here. Overall, it's probably James Harden for me. Like, if I'm going to pay up, I think James Harden is a good pay up on this slate. And then with Jones, like with Derek Jones Jr. out, you could take some shots on Coffee, but never fun shots, that's for sure. Denver side, there's this guy named Jokic. There's this guy named Jamal Murray who's questionable. We know what to do if Jamal Murray's out. We play Jokic. Would you play Jokic or Anthony Davis if Jamal Murray sits?
Yeah, for sure.
Which one would you play? If Jamal Murray is out,
you said you play both. I thought you said.
Well,
both. Which would I play?
You try. Yeah.
Man, this is a tough one, Stevie. I think I go AD with the discount. Like if I'm playing, I'll say it this way. I think I go AD straight up. Like if I'm playing cash single entry, but in tournaments, Stevie, I'm getting massive exposure to both of them in like 20 entry max, 50, 150 lineups. Like, man, so much ownership goes to those guys. But the savings on AD open it up. Like he's 1,500 cheaper. He's got comparable upside in this spot.
Yeah. Oh, I think you try to play both of them.
Yeah.
It's not always.
Could you imagine that easy? Put up 75 to 80 fantasy points on this slate, and you were able to find a way to get them both. Oh man.
Yeah. I don't know if you'd necessarily be able to play them both, but man, it'd be fun. It'd be a fun lineup.
Guys. Like I say, you throw in a Gabe Vincent, you throw in another 3K guy or a low 4K guy, and kind of balance it out a little bit. And one of those guys gets you 30, the other guy gets you 28, and all of a sudden they both get 80. And you're like, oh, I'm close here.
Yeah, you got the Charlotte value.
Oh, man.
but you play like on DraftKings. If you plug in Jokic and Davis, you're looking at 4,400 per player. So you're gonna have to nail a punt or two to make it happen. Yeah. Or like value's gonna have to open up throughout the day, which always happens in the NBA. It feels like at this point. All right, let's play the morning grind game, and then we will get out of here. Favorite play under 5K to go 7X. Who do you got?
Oh man, well we can't. I can't use my boy Mitchich, Stevie, because he's absolutely above 5K. There's some guys out there. I think I'm going with my gut here, man, and give me Nas Reed at 4,600.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could see that being a thing. They're talking about Jeffries in chat for Charlotte. I think if you get Saloon out, you could, or like Saloon and Bridges out, Jeffries becomes one of the top value plays. Like probably just plug and play him and Mitchik. So just watching the news on that one. Oh, I thought I had to sneeze. Oh, I can feel it like. Oh, awesome radio stuff there. I wrote this down, and I don't think I'm going to change my mind. Give me Obi Toppin at 4,600 to be a difference maker today and go for 7X. Over 8K to go under 5X. Who is your bust today?
Oh, man. Got some interesting options. Give me Pascal Siakam at 8,100.
Yeah. It's kind of up there, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go like the opposite here and say Donovan Mitchell, because I think Cleveland just absolutely crushes Washington in this game, and Mitchell plays like a 28 to 30 minute game instead of a 38-minute game. If the game stays close, Donovan Mitchell crushes. I'll just say that. Like I know, right? I know.
Yeah.
Favorite 6X play today?
Give me D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, all right. I like it. We talked about him a lot. I mean, I have to go AD. I'd be shocked if he doesn't get 6X today. Yeah. I know the matchup's tough, but I'd be shocked if he doesn't get 6X today. I was going to say Mitchich, but I mean AD. AD is just awesome. Favorite GPP? I can't speak. Favorite GPP ceiling play today?
Jokic.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think the easy answer to this question is Jokic and Anthony Davis. Those two guys have the two highest ceilings on the slate today. Those are the two guys you're chasing for ceiling. To be different, you could go James Harden and Joel Embiid, I think, or even Edwards. But Jokic, Davis, I think, have the two highest ceilings on the slate. Let's get weird GPP play of the day. Who do you got?
Funny you should ask, Stevie. It is James Harden at 9,700.
Like it. I'm going to go right below him. Anthony Edwards is who I had written down for mine today. I like him quite a bit at 9,200 because I know I'm going to play AD. I know it. So, that's my run back there. Any bets that you like on this slate?
Give me the Nets plus 10.5. I know Memphis has been playing well. Feels like a bit too many points to me, though. Nets plus 10.5.
Yeah, I mean, nothing jumping out for me right off the bat here. I mean, kind of want to take Washington plus 17 just because I love betting those like ridiculous numbers, but I just don't think I can do it. Like, I don't think I could do it. I will say, like, I'll be looking at some Charlotte lines tomorrow. Once we start getting more lines posted, they only have like Miller and Bridges posted right now. I'll be jumping on some Charlotte stuff once that stuff starts rolling out. So a lot of interest in the Charlotte bets here today. Yeah. Any final thoughts before we ship it off for the weekend?
No, I'm good, man. And glad to come on and hang out with you. And hopefully you enjoy your weekend. Hopefully the listeners and supporters enjoy their weekend. And I'm gonna be watching some football, local high school. We've got 4 schools in our area that all went to the state championship. One's playing tonight. 3 are playing tomorrow or something like that. So it's a good time to kind of live where we live, man. And hopefully these schools can all bring it home.
That's awesome. Hopefully that'd be really cool to see.
Yeah.
So,
and my son has already won one of those championships 2 weeks ago. So it's an interesting time.
Good times. I'm ready. I'm excited for my volleyball tournament this weekend. Like,
yeah,
we call it volleyball. It's like spring season, and it starts like now. So it's crazy how the volleyball season works. But we're back on Monday. Will and I talk some NBA. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. If you haven't already, subscribe to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind YouTube page, and we will see you again on Monday.